Let's check levels.fyi. How much money are they making now? Okay, Google. New college grad. 190K? Shut up, Alexa. Okay, Google. Hello, everyone. My name is Aparna, and on this channel, we talk about careers that are financially promising as well as fulfilling. The best career that I can talk about is software engineering because I have been a software engineer for the past 9-10 years. I can't remember. My last job was being a senior software engineer at Netflix. So let's get right into the pros and cons of being a software engineer. Number one, salaries. It's impossible to talk about the software engineering career without looking at the salaries of engineers. So let's look at some salary examples here. A new college grad is making $192,000 at Google. It will be something similar at Facebook, 180K. Software developer in Microsoft is also making around 160K, so the same ballpark. Let's look at a senior software engineer, shall we? All right, it should be like level 5 senior software engineer. $350,000 at Google. Same ballpark that I was talking about. And let's look at some crazy distinguished engineer at Google. No salaries, no levels FII estimates available. I'm assuming they'll be making somewhere close to 900,000 or maybe even more than $1 million a year, especially with the stock compensations and the kind of crazy ride the market has had in the last 10 years. When you get stock as part of your compensation, you're making at least double or triple in the last 5 to 10 years. My starting salary as a new college grad back in 2010 was $90,000 a year. I thought that was a boatload of money back then. And for the nosy people out there, the last paycheck that I made was close to $400,000. The next pro that I want to talk about is flexibility. This is one of the careers where it's really easy to switch roles. Once you understand how the team works, you can start working small projects in different roles and then build up to that. One of the most common transitions that I've seen is moving from being a software engineer to a product manager. You can also switch technologies from backend to front end to mobile development and so on. Next, benefits. From free food to 401k matches to unlimited vacations. The list is so long that I didn't even know how to make full use of the benefits that were provided to us. For example, 401k, which is like a retirement account, Google and Netflix match 50% of your contributions. That's $9,000 of free money every single year. There are also many other career opportunities. They may pay for your education, fully reimburse it or partially, but there is gym memberships, fitness equipment. Now that the workflow is all work from home, many companies are also providing ergonomic desks, chairs, and just making sure that their employees are very, very well taken care of. Next, culture of work. Usually, tech companies are very fast-paced and the problems are getting solved very quickly. Things are not sitting in a file cabinet for ages, like in some government offices. Immigration. Next one, Coworkers. You get to work with the smartest people in the industry, if not the world. And it's up to you to learn as much as possible from the folks that you look up to. This is an amazing tip that I learned. Go talk to someone that you're inspired by and ask who they are inspired by. Build this tree up and practice this soft skill. This is an amazing way to learn new skills from people, real people, not always just blogs and websites, but also understanding the importance of smart networking. It's not wasting time with folks that you don't even have anything in common with, but this is really strategic and will help you in your career a lot. Next pro, it's very easy to switch jobs or even change careers. If you can write code and build complex systems, it's not going to be hard for you to break down businesses and more earning potential online. It was quite straightforward for me to learn editing for this YouTube channel and get going because technology did not intimidate me. Next pro, you will have a big impact on people. Sometimes writing code can impact millions, if not billions. If you're working in Facebook and you're working on the timeline, every time you push out a code change, you are impacting 2 billion people. If that's something that invigorates you, this one is definitely a pro for you. Next pro, It's very easy to freelance or work for yourself once you've worked as a software engineer. There are many opportunities that you can take from the software engineering world and apply to real-world problems and start freelancing. For example, I'm learning right now how to sell physical or digital products online, and my software engineering chops are very useful in that context because it was very easy for me to start up a website or even add custom code to make my website look better. Alright, now that we've discussed so many pros, what are the cons? Why shouldn't you be a software engineer? There are a few nuances to this job. Everything is not rainbows and sunshines. So let's talk about the cons. The first one that I want to talk about is salary. Yeah, I know I spoke about it in the first pro itself, but really, this one is very tricky because it's a double-edged sword. These salaries are so high that sometimes they are called the golden shackles. When I've talked to my previous colleagues about it, they've used the words like crack, I'm addicted to the paycheck, and things like that. And that, you can imagine, is very easy to attach your net worth to the number of dollars that you're making and very hard to break free from these shackles. In my case, personally, I always wanted to start something of my own or start my own business, but this paycheck was way too sweet to leave. And even though I wasn't feeling very invigorated or inspired by the job that I was doing at the time, I did not want to leave it because for me to be able to earn that much cash in a business is going to take me so much longer and so much harder. Maybe I won't even make it. It's only after I learned the concepts of financial independence was I able to understand that just making more money is not going to make me happier, and I need to break free of these shackles and get going on something that truly inspires and invigorates me. And thus I started this YouTube channel. The next con, sometimes there can be old technology. Old technology is legacy code that has been left by previous companies, by other developers. If there was a company that was acquired, there's a lot of legacy code that comes with it, and sometimes us developers have to deal with that 5-10-year-old code. Either completely scrap it and write it from scratch or convince leadership that it's worth removing this legacy code. Those kind of conversations are really hard, and that work is not fun. The next con is that this job requires a lot of sitting. Being an outdoor person myself, it was really hard for me to sit down for 8 to 10 hours every day and write code and just stare at a screen. Sometimes I questioned my career choices because my body just wanted to run outdoors, and here I was sitting in a meeting and dreaming of the outdoors. So if that's something that's important to you, it's definitely worth considering and creating a life around your software engineering job that also lets you get out in the ocean or go for hikes consistently, or else you won't be happy sitting in that office. The next con is that the deadlines can get really stressful. And I understand that's true for many jobs. For example, a construction worker who needs to finish a building by a certain time will have to really put in those hours and have achy knees sitting and doing those tile work, and also have the stress of finishing that work on a deadline. In software engineering, there are two types of deadlines. One is a real hard deadline, and another one is just imposed by the leadership. So sometimes it can be an art for managers and leaders to figure out which deadlines are worth stressing their employees about. And if you're stuck in a bad leadership position, you'll have too much stress and too many deadlines coming your way that may or may not even make sense. The last con, I left it for the end just because I don't see much of this conversation happening on at least the YouTube software world. Many channels are run by men, so this one's dear to my heart. As a woman, I would say that there are more disadvantages you'll face in any industry, and for some reason the software industry just tends to magnify it. There have been times where my judgments and decisions were doubted. I don't know if they explicitly wanted to do it because I'm a woman, but we all know that implicit bias exists. And so many times, if I would, on a pull request where we review code from other people, if I would give feedback that, hey, this thing is gonna break when certain situations arise, my male colleague would not agree to that. And when the same statement was written on the same pull request by another male colleague, the dude was like, oh yeah, I know, thank you for pointing this out, I'll go fix it. And that felt very disempowering and just unfair in general. These are the small type of paper cuts that you can experience working in the tech industry, especially as a woman, and it weighs you down. It is a big reason for burnout, and I personally felt it. These are some of the things that you need to be wary of, and it's not the end of the world. Such things are fixable. In my opinion, it's always great to be transparent and go give that feedback to your colleagues and just let them understand that you're working in a team and you do appreciate much of their support in this respect. Alright, those were the pros and cons that I have personally experienced being in the software industry. Have you experienced any of this? If yes, please comment down for the community below. If you enjoyed watching this video, do watch my previous one where I talk about 7 money principles that I wish I knew when I was in my 20s. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!